Well, hello and welcome back to the Super Close Racing League. We are here on a Saturday night in the middle of the race weekend for the realistic tier, and if this race is anything like yesterday's, then we are in for a treat. 16 cars take to Q1 today, so maybe that's 2 or 3 cars eliminated in Q1. It's going to be a fascinating race. I am joined by Dash for about the third weekend running, and well, odds on coming out first, probably Twitch Conyo.
Well, I mean, it's been quite a while since the last race here, so potentially, I mean, some of the pace of the drivers might have been forgotten, but we are here at Imola, ladies and gentlemen, for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. This is the third round in the calendar, ladies and gentlemen, and the drivers will obviously make their way to the track. Green flag is out, and away we go for qualifying, ladies and gentlemen.
Well,
it's going to be quite a fun race.
Well, as per usual, Twitch Conyo, the first car out on track, he swiftly lets his teammate breeze past him, but the two Alpines, they're probably going to be looking for a Q3 appearance. Twitch Conyo, of course, yesterday made it to Q3 and got an absolutely lightning start right from the lights out and went into turn 1, I believe, in about 4th. He's going to be looking to make amends. I'm just trying to have a look where he is in the championship, and he's 15th, and he DNF'd in the first race of the season in Austria, of course, Miami. I don't think it was raced. I definitely didn't commentate on it, so I'm not 100% sure. I think it was cancelled, but nevertheless, it's not here on the standings, so he hasn't finished a race yet this season, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do. Max Day, he was out in Q1 in Austria when his teammate was at the top, so he's going to have to improve his pace.
Yeah, so unfortunately, obviously Miami was cancelled a few weeks ago, so I suppose that's definitely hurting not only Twitch Conyo's championship level, but I mean, Twitch Conyo, on paper, he's a brilliant driver. He's got lots and lots of pace in the car. He's got lots of pace as a driver. He's got lots of racecraft, but unfortunately, it's just a bit of bad luck. Especially in Bahrain and obviously in Miami, there wasn't a race to begin with. So, of course, you can't really make any opinions of that. But, anyways, both Alpines start a lap. They're the first two drivers start a lap as Optimal makes his way through the first chicane. And obviously into the long straight coming towards the end of Sector 1. So, what are your expectations for today?
Well, our championship leader, Sunski, is definitely the favourite for this race, alongside XPG Dylan, who won in Tier 1. He is, of course, I think he is Repo Skits. Can't be 100% sure as last week, but him and Arapalit Sunski look to have this little rivalry at the front. Maybe we'll see something reminiscent of Jesla and Splandi yesterday in Tier 2. But whether it'll be deja vu is yet to be known. But I'm sure Arapalit Sunski, who has just exited the pit lane, will be up there for pole and the race win.
Yeah, Optimal abandoned his lap. So not quite sure what happened there. There's yellow flags in Sector 2 and Sector 3. So not quite sure what happened to the Alpine, but anyways, he has abandoned his lap. Obviously, Twitch Conyo is still in his lap. He will now be the first to cross the line, coming through into the final corner, and obviously into the DRS zone. That DRS is going to be wide open as he comes down the straight, and a 1:17.0 for Twitch Conyo.
So yesterday we had to wait all the way until the final runs in Q3 to see the 1:16 meter broken. Of course, it's a realistic tier, so some of the drivers from Tier 1, some of them from Tier 2, we may be able to see that time beaten in. I wouldn't expect Q1, that may be a bit early, but Q2 is definitely the time when you want to see those late 1:15 start to be posted. 3 cars broke it yesterday, and none of them are here today. So and XPG Dylan goes to the top of the timing sheets with a 1:16.5 on the mediums. So if you wanted to see pace, that's a very good benchmark for it.
Oh, absolutely, especially on the mediums as well. Beating Twitch Conyo's lap time on the softs by half a second. So that's definitely a benchmark for pace for the soft tyre runners so far. And obviously lots more people are crossing the line, and I think Mirror Show and Wildfire crossed the line, and I think I'm not quite sure who else crossed the line. I think Sunski did start his lap, but there's obviously lots of traffic now, especially in Sector 1 and Sector 2 now. So this could get a little bit interesting. Maybe drivers will get out on traffic and there's yellow flags, and that's just TTV rated letting traffic pass.
And
on the map now.
Also, the man who is second in the championship doesn't awfully get spoken about a lot, but Wicked Red, second in the championship after a second place finish in Austria. I think he's on a hot lap because he just posted a 51.2 in the middle sector. That is purple this early on in the session. The Alfa Romeo gets out of his way. I think that was Kostya who is on the medium tire. Wicked Red into sector 3, downhill. He's got a Red Bull ahead of him who moves out of his way swiftly into the penultimate corner. Imola, it just flows around all the way to the start finish line where he's approaching and he's lost the car. He managed to keep it out of the wall, but luckily for him he's next to the pit lane and he comes into the pit lane swiftly after the first, well, it wasn't really major but it wasn't minor, and for him it's a lap wasted.
Yeah, that was very, very unfortunate, and obviously Sunsky there went third fastest. But coming back to Wicked Red, he had a bit of a minor snap of oversteer there, and then he corrected it, and then it sort of just went all downhill from there. But obviously, if he didn't correct that, he would have been straight into the wall anyways. So it's very lucky. You'd rather have a lap wasted than have your car on the wall in Q1. But SPG Dylan now is on a second lap, once again on the medium tire. He's just gone quickest in sector 1 as he's coming downhill now into sector 2. It's very, very tight braking force though through these next few corners. But obviously he's going to say into sector 3 now into the corner. He's 3 tenths up on his car time. Now we'll put him into a 1:16.2 if he's able to keep the lap together. Quickest in sector 2. So purple and purple so far for the Red Bull driver. Well, it's going to be coming down into sector 3. He comes downhill once more into the final few corners of the track. The start-finish straight is just a few meters ahead of him now as he comes around the final corner. He's going to get that DRS flap wide open as he crosses the line very shortly. What is it going to be? It's going to be a 1:62, just like we were saying. But it's impressive how he's able to do that on medium tires.
Wow.
So Lord knows what is cooking up for XPG Dylan here as we come into the tail. Obviously 11 minutes now left in qualifying.
Wow, thank you for speaking us through that lap. Worn medium tyres and he's gone for 1:16.2, 8 tenths quicker than Twitch Konyo. Wow, that is a benchmarker and a half. Twitch Konyo back out of the pit lane to start a second hot lap. Twitch Konyo maybe starting to find a bit of consistency. Alpadit Sunsky, by the way, on his lap, also on the medium tyre, went to third on the timing sheets, and that's a very slow Red Bull, and that is XPG Dylan. So also other cars on a hot lap at the moment. I think Milo is on a hot lap as he comes towards the end of sector 3. Into the final corner he goes. That's very, very deep indeed, but he's managed to keep it within the track limits, and DRS activated to the line. It's going to be about a 1:16.9, and that's onto the it's not onto the front row, of course, because this is only Q1, but he's second alongside a teammate, and those two, the two Red Bulls, are the only cars to dip into the 1:16. So Red Bull dominance is a thing in normal F1, it's a thing in the game as well, as Milo and XP Dylan lead off the Q1, or the Q1ers you could say, the 17 cars. I think somebody's joined, I'm not too sure who, but nevertheless, those two leading, those two leading the timing sheets, and we have a yellow flag, and I think that's an Alpine going slowly. It's Twitch Konyo. What's happened to him? He's invalidated his lap.
He was on a lap. He was on a lap. He was 300 down, just coming out of sector 1, and he invalidated his lap time coming downhill. So,
well, Twitch Konyo may have. Twitch Konyo may have ended his lap, as you mentioned. I think, as you were about to mention, Alpadit Sunsky going into second, splitting the Red Bulls in half. But Twitch Konyo, who ended his lap, his teammate is also coming towards the end of his lap, but the difference is one hasn't invalidated and one has gone up to fifth.
What happened there to Mirror?
And Mirror, XPG Dylan has got a 5.
Gets a grid penalty for that.
Grid penalty, and who did he collide into there? I think it was a Mercedes or Mirror.
It was Mirror into Tamburello.
Well,
I'm not sure what happened there. Mirror Show was in the gravel, and I think Dylan just tapped him on accident, and he's got a grid penalty for that now.
Well, that is dramatic and a half, because Dylan was the well, bookie's favourite for pole if there was, but Dylan was looking very quick on his 2 laps that he did, his 2 hot laps. But that is tragedy. Your championship leader, Arpalit will be licking his lips at that, because he now has the increased chances of going on to pole. He's pushed his way up to second, as previously mentioned, but the 2 on medium are currently the 2 at the top, and that proves why those 2 are the most dominant here in Imola and overall, really.
Yeah, so that is definitely going to change something. Not only between Dylan, but I think between all the drivers as well. Especially those are the top, obviously, Sunski, Milo, Titsconio, and his teammate Optimal as well. So this could change pretty much everything. Because if Dylan is half a second clear of everybody else so far, just in terms of pace, or a medium tyre,
yes,
that
well,
grid penalty has pretty much eliminated all of sort of the challenge that Sunski has. Obviously, Titsconio on the soft tyre, he's just gone first fastest now. He crossed the line. He's coming into Tamburello now on his in lap, but he's still 2 tenths back, and Sunski done that lap on medium tyres. So I suppose Sunski doesn't really have anything to worry about for the time being.
well, Fanatic Vinci Game was on a hot lap. He went fastest in Sector 2, but unfortunately for him, coming out of the chicane, he went off the track, and the FIA deemed it illegal and out of limits, and he received a lap invalidation, and therefore will have to go again. Or is he coming into the pit lanes? No, he's going again. So here's Fanatic Vinci Game on a hot lap. He's currently second to last. Only Faria is behind him, and he's on an out lap about to start his first flying lap. But it's interesting to see how limits can be such an important thing so early on in the session. 6.5 minutes remain of this Q1 session, the opening session here in the realistic tier in about a month, really. That's how long we have not raced in the realistic tier. We've definitely missed it, but we're happy to be back. I think Mirror Show, he's not on a hot lap. I believe Wicked Red is in the wall. He somehow ended up in the wall. Wicked Red was he was up on his sector 1 time by about 300th, but Wicked Red somehow finding his way into the grass, and is now going to have to make his way back to either the start-finish straight to reset his lap, or into the pit lane. Last time we saw him make a mistake, he went into the pit lane. Of course, he spun earlier on in this session, the only driver to have a incident as such so far, and he's also become the second man to do it, only beating himself. So Wicked Red in 5th, but a bit uncomfortable, you would say.
Oh yeah, just while you were mentioning that, Max Day was on a lap. He was 3 tenths off. I think I would have put him around 210, but he spun just coming out of the second chicane. I think someone crossed the line, and that was Vinci. So he's gone 7th fastest. A 1:17.6. Definitely very decent time. That put him into the midfield. But obviously now Faria is on a lap. He's coming around the final corner now. And the Aston Martin, oh, he's got to dip his car into the gravel area. That's definitely, yeah, that's going to hurt his lap time there. He goes only 15th fastest. But dipping 2 wheels into the gravel there. Fortunately, nothing more happened. Oh, Wicked Red has retired? He's retired in the pit lane, but it doesn't really need to.
That's confidence, if anything is. Yeah, well, that's confidence as such, because he believes he's through to Q2, and therefore has retired in the pit lane. And the McLaren of Wildfire off the track in Tamburello turn 2, and that's not an ideal way to begin your flying runs, your second flying run, sorry, in this Q1 session. Dylan and Conyo among the next names to retire, so there's 2 in between them. Arapalitsonsky is now retired, so 4 minutes to go, and 4 of the top 5 have retired, so they believe they're through, which they probably are, but I don't want to speak too soon. There's a Williams all over the place ahead of Wildfire, and that's Guardian Strike, who is getting his way back onto the track. There's also a Red Bull, which has to be Milo, warming up behind him. He's on fresh softs. Interesting, because he didn't do his first run on mediums, I don't think, so using a new fresh pair of soft tyres when, let's be honest, he's through. That's a very interesting game, to say the least. That may cost him come Q3, because he may have that less set of soft tyres. So he's definitely going for the motto, No risk, no reward. Maybe the reward is finishing first in qualifying, but the risk is losing out on a fresh set of soft tyres in optimal condition for Q3, and that's definitely a risky game to play for the Red Bull. His teammate is first, he is fourth, and you'd think the obvious thing is to just stay in the pit lane, Dash.
Yeah, I don't really get why Milo has got onto another set of soft tyres, because he's basically few into Q2 already. I mean, there's no way there's going to be that many drivers beating his lap time, so I'm not quite sure what the strategy is for me. I'm not sure why he's gone out again.
It's
but, obviously, he hasn't used the tyre yet, so...
Yeah, and the thing is, for Milo, he's in
a pair of softs.
Yeah, and he's invalidated, which wastes him even more for the Red Bull. We said no risk, no reward. That we thought the risk was losing out on softs, but the other risk that we didn't mention was, of course, invalidating. So he's not going to get the reward, and he's going to take both risks, and they're going to be inflicted onto him. And he's going to probably remain fourth unless he goes again, which that would just be stupid, surely. But Vaxi is also on a hot lap. He's more than likely through, however, he's invalidated it. A few cars that probably don't feel the most comfortable. Alfie Dulhan among them. He's just started a hot lap. Max Day is on a hot lap. I'm not 100% sure how many cars are going out. I believe we'll have either 14 or 13. Do you know?
I think it will be the bottom two, actually.
The bottom two.
I think we'll have 15 cars.
I think yesterday it was 14 and we had about the same number, so we'll go with 14 for now. Max Day's invalidated it, so he's, well, the virtual driver at risk here. Faria, and this man is definitely going to have to improve, and he's in the pit lane, so is the McLaren of Kaz out of this session before he's even set a lap here, as he's in the pit lane with 1 minute 45 to go. And you wouldn't think he'd be able to get out and go for a hot lap. Guardian Strike, he's been all over the place on his previous outlaps. He's back out on another outlap.
Kaz is coming out, so he's going for one lap.
Well, this
one
is
lap and one lap only.
Whether he can even make it round is going to be another question. He may do what I can't quite remember. I can't quite remember who did it yesterday, but someone was cutting over every corner possible. He gets out of the pit lane with 1 minute 16 to go, so it's definitely going to be a battle to the line. Max Day, he just flew past, is in 14th at the moment. The driver at risk, and he's in sector 1 at the moment. He's lapping not the best at the moment as he comes through to turn 5, and he's gone wide. However, he's kept it validated for now. He's a 10th down on his previous lap time in sector 1. These softs aren't doing the job for him at the moment. I believe these are worn softs, or they may not. I know. I think they are fresh softs. Sorry, but Max Day then coming round now. What can he do? Milo, meanwhile, I think he's coming towards the end of a hot lap. I'm not 100% sure. Max Day has backed off though, so he's going for another one. Is the Ferrari. Now, Guardian Strike, let's see Kaz. Kaz is on a race round here. He's stuck behind the Aston Martin of, I think that's Faria. No, that's TTV Rated that he's racing at the moment. Rated does the kind courtesy of letting him through. Kaz cutting across everything to try and get to the line. He's got 15 seconds to get there. I don't think he's going to make the line, and I do think he's going to be out of this qualifying session before he's even set a lap. And yeah, he's going to be out. Kaz is out in Q1. That just adds to the story. He's in the wall and out of the session. Kaz into the wall, wheel off, he's out, the wheel's out, and everything goes to heartbreak for the McLaren team. He's out in Q1. The first car to be eliminated. This man may well be the second. A 51.6 in the second sector. That's very good indeed. Coming towards the end of his lap now. Guardian Strike needs to put a good lap together. Him and Kaz have not set a lap yet. He can change that. Kaz can't. He's the only man that could. There is Kaz, a stricken McLaren on the side of the track. He won't worry about him. DRS activated. To the line. Guardian Strike survives by the skin of his teeth, seemingly. Rated can't challenge it. Max Day, I don't know if it's going to be well, he's improving, so we won't speak too soon because he may send Rated out if it's going to be a 14 car Q2. Max Day now on a lap, still improving. 3 tenths, 2 tenths, so he's 5 tenths up. This would be enough to catapult Rated into the drop zone. Max Day still pushing to 100%, coming into the end of Sector 3. He's about to take the downhill to the penultimate corner of this track. Here he goes. He's currently lapping around the midfield mark, you would think. And that McLaren is still there, surprisingly. DRS activated. Max Day to the line, goes to P10. And I think he's going to survive. I'm not sure if Rated is out. He's definitely survived it. But it's going to be intriguing to see. I believe that Max Day, I believe that 15th will be out. Max Day, of course, in 10th survived. Yeah. Oh, no, you were correct. Yeah. So, therefore, 2 cars eliminated. We definitely know there's going to be 10 for Q3, but Rated survived by the skin of his teeth to make it through. Only 1 car that said a lap is out, and that is Ferreira. Kaz in P17. Here's your order, folks, for this Q1 session. Dylan in P1 with a 5-player grid penalty. That's drama. And everyone's readied up, so I won't have time to read through the order.
That's going to be unfortunate, but here comes Q2. This is where things are going to definitely start to get interesting.
As we just wait to load through them.
So there comes Q2 now. So this is going to be the fight for the top 10 shootout, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to get interesting, folks. Obviously, we had this. I think this is going to be the battle we're going to be focusing on. I think Imola, obviously, going on a lot more hot laps than he needed in Q1. That is going to be a waste in Q second top tires. So I'm not quite sure what's going to be going on in Q2. Obviously, Red Bull still does have that 5-player grid penalty, and Milo may have messed up in terms of his hot laps, in terms of the compound he has. So this could be disaster for the Red Bull team, but we're just gonna have to wait and see as the first few drivers obviously come out on the lap, on their out laps. As always, Twitch Corneo leads the pack, and we're gonna have to wait and see who is gonna be the one on top coming into Q2.
Well, I was just gonna praise Max Day for his driving under pressure to survive through into Q2, but sorry about that. Max Day, of course, under pressure, of course, and made it through in P10, but he left the session, unfortunately for him. But nevertheless, it's still an improvement no matter what happens from a P18 start the other day, which was a big shame for him in Austria when his teammate was at the highs. But let's. I'm just got a replay now of the incident between Dylan Skits and so Dylan has gone into the back of the Mercedes. The Mercedes, I believe Dylan was on a hot lap, and the Mercedes right in the racing line. That will be deemed the Mercedes' fault 100%. And although it is a shame for, of course, Dylan, because there's nothing that anybody can do during this session, which is a big shame for him. However, the Mirror Show will 100% be getting penalised for that. But as now we see, Twitch Conyo on a hot lap got very up on the curb. He's purple in sector 1 as per, because he is the only man to do it, and I think he's let off. So we'll see what that's all about.
Not quite sure what happened. I think maybe he's gonna get it. I'm not sure. I don't know why he's abandoned his lap. He was going brilliant, but for some reason Twitch Conyo felt the need to abandon that lap kind of thing.
Well, yeah, Conyo, of course, it did appear that he did go a bit deep on his first run, but UFR Optimal will be the first man to complete a lap, of course, as Kaz wishes all the rest of the drivers good luck. That's fair play sportsmanship. Of course, him crashing out at the dying embers in Q1. But this man at the beginning embers of Q2 comes to the line, and what's the benchmark going to be this time out? It looks very quick. It's going to be about 1 minute 18. That's 1 minute 18.1. We definitely know the names that are capable of doing that kind of time, and you get the feeling he's going to have to improve if he wants to be through to Q3.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, obviously he's got the disadvantage of the medium tyres, but as Wicked Red demonstrates, he's definitely going to have to improve upon that time if he wants to see himself into Q2. A 1:17.4 then. Vaxi also crossed the line. He goes second fastest with a 1:17.8, so just about 4 tenths off the Mercedes, and Vici crossed the line at 1:44.0, so obviously there's been a mistake on his lap time. Unless that's maybe the pace we're looking at from the AlphaTauri, I hope not.
Well, as you are fair, as his teammate, as Twitch's teammate was at the top of the timing seats, he was at the top of a wall. In the wall, Mirasho goes to the top, but he was in a wall. Just coming out of Tamburello, it appeared that he had a spin and was in the wall when we went on board with him. Just at the nick of time, actually, because when we went on board, he ended up in the wall. So, Conyo also invalidated. We're going to see whether he's going to go again or if he's coming straight into the pits.
Well, I feel like it's good. There's not going to be much set to stop tyres, and I'm not quite sure. The Conyo has stayed on these soft tyres the whole way he's been out. So I think he's going to have to come in. I think there's no way. He's got 2 laps now under his belt. With the soft tyres, he will be coming in. But obviously, as we were commenting over that, Milo now has crossed the line. He's gone quickest, a 1:16.8. So breaking the 1:16s now in Q2. And Vici also crossed the line. But have a look at that lap time.
Wow.
Dunsky has done one better. 1:15.4, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, that is absolutely unbelievably good.
That's 1.4 seconds the differences to Milo in second place. So just have a look at that part. Look at the pace. Just look how quick.
1 minute 50. Oh my gosh, Dylan's gone quicker.
Well,
we've been seeing the way these two drivers have been playing with each other throughout Q1, and now we really do know the fastest 2 men on track are indeed Dylan and Sunsky. 1 minute 15.4 on the board for both of them, and the quickest man behind them 1.4 seconds slower. So that just proves that these 2 men are gonna dominate, surely. But we said the same thing about Splandy and Jesla yesterday, and look at how that ended up.
Yeah, I wasn't commentating over Tier 2 yesterday, but as far as I know, it was an Aston Martin that actually ended up coming out on top of the edge. But as we were saying, obviously with Dunsky and Dylan, Dunsky crossed the line and he was 1.4 seconds clear, but Dylan has only managed to go do one better. So just look at the pace of these 2 drivers. Obviously, Dylan, with the grid penalty, that's going to be a bullshit, but there's nothing you can do about that, unless we supposed to lobby and change the qualifying order, which surely that definitely won't happen. But, yeah, it seems that these 2 drivers are absolutely dominating on the track so far in this Q2 session. Obviously, we've got 8 minutes left now in this session, so this is slowly starting to unfold, and a lot of drivers on outlaps. I think Optimal is the first of those drivers to cross lap.
Yeah, well, yeah, Twitch Conyo is currently leading his teammates, so they awfully come out of the pits relatively the same time, and they've come out of the pits at the same time again. Conyo and UFR will be following each other throughout this lap. 7 minutes to go in this session, 7.5 minutes to go, sorry, as Twitch Conyo begins his first second full run lap, as of course he crashed. Flying lap, sorry, as he crashed in his first flying lap in this session. Conyo, what have you got for us, mate? Coming through, left-hander into a quick right-hander. A lot of the cars go very wide in there. He's kept it wide, and he's got a bit bendy through there. It hasn't really affected his sector time, but it's affected how close his teammate is. UFR was 2 temps up. It just proves the deferring between the teammates. However, that was quite similar to his teammates' time for UFR. but Cogno's all over the place now, and I believe he may have invalidated it, but he hasn't invalidated it, but he's abandoned it and pulled over for his teammate, who was, of course, 0.2 of a second quicker in Sector 1. The finest of margins in Formula 1 get you to success. That's not fine in Formula 1 terms. 0.6 of a second, half a second up in Sector 2. Overall, almost a second up, which for UFR Optimal, which would put him up to about P4 in this session. So it's looking strong for the Alpine. Not really for the other Alpine, but for this man, it definitely is indeed. Here he comes then. DRS to be activated in a couple of moments' time. Here we go. UFR goes up to P4 as predicted. That's a good lap time for the Alpine. It's 4th place in this session, and it's not quite Q3, but that is second row pace.
Yeah, a good lap from Optimal, and obviously good guessing from you as well. But yeah, Optimal, you need to remember that Optimal was getting slipstream in the first and second sector, so that's obviously giving him a big help, obviously from his teammate. Twitch Connie obviously didn't need to get the slipstream, but obviously he had to pull over in the middle of sector 2, which is it's just for Twitch Connie, it's a horrible pace, or not horrible pace, horrible luck, but he's had great pace this whole way through.
Well, Wicked Red is coming towards the end of his lap and stays in P7. As I think he's going for another hot lap now. No, he's gone up to P3, sorry. My timing screens were just delayed. That's a really good lap time for the man who's second in the championship. However, it's not even near touching the top 2 at the moment, but Wicked Red puts it 3rd, and that may well be the best for today for him. But then again, remember, Dylan has the 5th place grip penalty. Of course, it's not fair because it wasn't his fault, but Wicked Red has gone for a second hot lap and is 7th, I think it's 700 up on his lap at this moment in time. So Wicked Red, let's see what he's got for us in the middle sector. He's got a bit bouncy on the curb there. Now he's going to go uphill right and another sharp right as he goes to the sector 2 line, and he looks a bit out of shape through those corners. It looks a bit shaky as he goes 7/10 down, and surely that's going to mean for him to cause himself to abandon this lap, as that is just simply not going to be good enough to challenge anywhere near the amount of time he's going to need if he wants to get anywhere near touching Arapatic Sunski and XPG Dylan, or formerly known as Repo Skits. But that's interesting to see just the real deficit between the top 2 and the rest. And I think in this qualifying session it's going to be pretty much Arapatic Sunski and Dylan versus the best of the rest, because it's a dominant performance from the 2 at the top, and it is indeed going to be a battle for the best of the rest.
Yeah, so obviously we've got about 3 minutes 40 seconds left to qualify now, so these are going to be, you know, the last few laps. These are going to be the real decisive minutes of Q2. Obviously, as you just mentioned, Dylan and Arapatic Sunski are just far ahead of the rest of the grid. Obviously you've got 1.4 seconds there, but Milo definitely closes that gap a little bit with a 1:16.1. I believe they are about 7/10 now between Dylan and Milo, so there's definitely that gap is definitely closed. But obviously that doesn't take away from the fact that Sunski and Dylan are both putting absolutely flying laps. He's really blazing on the track. In comparison to everyone else, they are really the top 2 drivers right now, as Miroshow did go quickest in sector 2. So this could be a pretty interesting lap. Obviously, unfortunately, you did have that collision with Dylan. Actually, fighting good for it, but Conio
off and out. Yeah, Conio off and out of the session as we go on board with the Red Bull. As we see him in the wall there for a split second, but Conio will not be advancing in this session. He's out of qualifying in Q2, yet to set a lap, and that is definitely a big blow for the Alpine driver, who was looking to make amends for a relatively underwhelming Q1 session, but he's not making any amends by DNFing in this session, and that's definitely something negative for the Alpine team. We've only got one more driver left, and that's UFR Optimal. who will go and do his best for team. Wicked Red retires, and that's probably the best thing he could do. He's not really quick enough to go any higher, but maybe he could have done better at retaining, because you do think there's a few cars out there who have got an extra couple or half a second of temps left in them. So it'll be interesting to see Wicked Reds plummet down the field if it does eventually come. Well, it will come soon, because we only got a minute and a half left of this Q2 session here in Imola.
Yeah, so Da Vinci just crossed the line. He went P7. I think, yeah, TTV really just crossed the line. He's got P13, so he's going to be out in Q2. Speaking of, there will be Guardian Strike, Wildfire, TTV Rated, Twitch Conio, and Max Day out in Q2. So this is definitely going to be very interesting. Obviously, Guardian Strike has just gone on his lap, and Wildfire will go on his lap as well. And I think TTV Rated is going to have to push now. He is on his final hot lap, as obviously Kostya, I don't think he will make it to the line. He's trying out there. He's gonna try and make it to the line. Milo and Optimal opt to stay in the pit lane, so they will be going to middle.
Wow.
On a lap.
Well, I am currently on board with TTV Rated, as he makes an effort to try and make it out of this Q1 session. He's 7 seconds up. Of course, he was he posted a 1 minute 27 on his first run, which of course is nowhere near the pace needed. So TTV Rated then downhill towards the end of the lap. He needs to stick it all together to find his way into the top 10 shootout, which will commence in a couple of moments' time. 16 seconds for anyone not already there to start a lap. Here we go, TTV Rated. Dylan even extends the timing more, but Rated always is going to be on edge for Rated. He's in P8 with pitches Doohan into the drop zone, but Dylan extends his lead at the top. A 1 minute 15.369. Vaxi's out of qualifying. I was just about to say he's in the pit lane, won't have a chance to improve. He was 10th when I said that. He's now in 11th, and he's out of this qualifying session. Alfie Dulhan needs to find something. He looks like he's just been in the gravel the way his tyres are. Sorry, but he's off. So he's aborted. Wildfire's out, and that is it then for Q1, Q2, yeah, for Q2, sorry, as that all happened extremely quickly. Vaxi started it off. He was in the pit lane when I think it was Guardian who outperformed him on the timing front, pushing him into P11 and out. Alfie Dulham then we were on board with aborted his lap, and he's taken the line instead of going into the pit. Wildfire, he invalidated his lap. Cunha was already out, and Max Day, I don't think he took the checkered flag with a lap. So there we go, folks, and that's your order. And something's just happened to the timing screen. I think Guardian, Kostya, Kostya completed his lap and went to P8. So fair enough to him. Arpalik will not be able to. He's in the pit lane anyway. So that's your order for this Q2 session. We'll go through it in depth in a couple of moments' time. But that is your order, folks. You can take a quick look now.
Yeah, so that's Q2 over, and into the top 10 shootout. Obviously, heartbreak. That happened extremely quickly. The last few moments of Q2 as everyone rushed to the line to try and get their times in. Can I just mention, Guardian Strike made it into Q2 by only 200ths of a second. That was extremely close.
Indeed, but here's your order then, folks, for the end of Q2. Dylan leads the timing sheets once again by 1/10 this time, but then again, look at that time. If anyone can get within a tenth, I'd be shocked. A 1 minute 15.3, that's a benchmarker and a half. Sunsky, the two have this rivalry. He's in second with a 1 minute 15.4, and Milo, the best of the rest in this session, in third. Wicked Red fourth, his teammate got in a big incident. Fifth is UFR Optimal, his teammate crashing out also. In sixth is Mirror Show, the man who had the incident in Q1 with Dylan. Seventh is Fnatic Vinci Game, who had a very underwhelming first lap. Kostya got through. He also was the final man to post a lap. He's in 8th. Rated gets through in 9th. Guardian Strike, the final car to survive, in 10th. Vaxi was out, and he only found out in the pit lane in 11th. Dulhan in 12th, out after a mistake on his final lap. Wildfire invalidated in 13th. Twitch Conyo in 14th after crashing earlier in the session, and Max Day, he's the only car that completed the session that didn't set a lap. So it's going to be intriguing to see this top 10 shootout.
Yep, but here comes Q3, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be very, very interesting.
Well, here we go then, folks. The final qualifying session of this Imola Grand Prix here in the realistic tier in the middle of the weekend. So it's prime time action. And UFR Optimal in the pit lane. He had a very decent session in 5th place. And the best of the rest will be an intriguing battle to witness, as of course the two at the front were our Paddock Sunski and Dylan. And Dylan's out of the pit lane. We'll have a look back, as yes, he does follow suit. Our Paddock Sunski also exiting the pit lane 11 minutes to find a pole position, and it's more than likely to be this man on pole. However, stranger things have happened. This man will not be on pole regardless of what happens, because he has a 5-place grid penalty after a collision with Mirashow, and of course not his fault, but there's nothing he can do about it now. Only get wicked red a penalty for the race, which in all fairness probably won't affect this man considering his pace. However, nevertheless, he will go out and do the best he can, and you never know, luck may go his way.
Sorry, my mic there was muted for a second.
Oh.
Yeah, so let's see how this is going to pan out. Obviously, Dylan does have the grid penalty, so it's most likely going to be Suzuki on pole position, but you never know what's going to happen. You could see something crazy like it was in Austria, obviously. Although, what race was it? No, it wasn't Tier 1, I think it was it Tier 1? We had the rain, we had the dry to inters to wets. To inters again. Not sure if that was Tier 1. I'm pretty sure it was Tier 3. But anyways, let's see if we have some sort of crazy qualifying session into Q3. Obviously, Optimal is going to be first across the line. He's going to have that DRS open, and he is going to start his Q3 lap.
Yes, of course, Dylan starting his lap in Q3. We'll go on board with him for the beginning part. Also, his biggest rival starting his lap now also. So it's going to be intriguing to see the two men. Nobody separates the two, looking to go for pole in this session. The Ferrari, the Red Bull, is so reminiscent of Verstappen versus Leclerc. We've got our very own Formula 1 battle here in Super Close Racing League tonight. It's Dylan versus Sunski, it's Ferrari versus Red Bull, and who's gonna be in the way of these two winning tonight? We'll wait to see, of course, because this is only Q3. The race is still to come, and of course we'll find out from the drivers after the race how they performed and how they did it indeed. So Dylan then uphill now, coming towards the end of his lap already. That's just how quick he is. He's already approached sector 3 at 50 on the dot. That's rapid. In sector 2, it's a purple sector 2 and no surprises there. The Alpine of UFR Optimal is going to be the only man to set a lap time before him. Let's go on board with him for a split second. UFR Optimal, what's he got for us in the he's gonna be the first man to set provisional pole, and he's done it with a 1:16.9. That's very it's average pace, but this is the man who has a blistering pace. It's a 1:15.1. That's whooping, but can Sunski beat it here in Imola? Not quite. He's 5/10 down on his biggest rival, Dylan, pulling out another leg. It wasn't even his quickest time, but Sunski takes a step back, if anything, and the two men who have dominated so much in this session, Dylan is the first man to strike a blow to his rival, and isn't this just going to be a fantastic race? Dylan starting from 5th, Sunski, well, let's not speak too soon, but at the moment would start on pole, and the man Dylan, who seems to have the upper hand just very slightly at this moment in time, would be on for it. However, let's go on board with his teammate Milo. He was the best of the rest in Q2. What's he got for us in Q3? Can he make it an all Red Bull front row for now, of course, because Dylan will have penalties applied. But Milo then coming to the line now. DRS activated now. Here he goes to the line. Milo goes third, best of the rest consecutive times, and it's third again, and we may see a habit of that during race and qualifying. As I just think we have a few technical issues with the co-commentator here. So sorry about that.
Oh,
but oh yeah, here,
right,
here we go.
But anyway, so as I was trying to say, Dylan obviously put in an absolutely brilliant lap there. He was half a second clear of touch. They're obviously at the back, on both positions, and obviously getting teammate is obviously going to bring the set some light on the whole Red Bull thing.
This man Milo, of course, best of the rest at this moment in time. Kostya is on the first hot lap at 24.9 in the first sector. That's very decent pace indeed. Coming to sector 2, the benchmark is 50. He's not going to get anywhere near that at 51.5. That's 1.5 seconds down on the pole pace, and that just proves how dominant the two at the front are at this moment in time. This is surely not going to be a provisional pole, but can it be maybe a second row, a third row, a fourth row, or even a fifth row, where he is currently now in this moment in time. Kostya then, to the final corner he goes, full on the throttle now, as he'll activate the DRS in a couple of moments time. A bit of a snap there as he comes to the line. Kostya goes up to P7 and jumps rated and Guardian strike. However, I think that sector 2 costed him.
Oh yeah, the sector 2 for Kostya there, and obviously it really couldn't come back from that, could you? I mean, 1.5 seconds off of pole, I believe, with the quickest sector 2 time, which was the 50.0. Very unfortunate for Kostya, but obviously we got nearly 5 minutes now left to qualify. Everyone, apart from Kostya, is obviously in the pit lane, and Kostya's on his in lap now. So, looks like everyone's opting to stay in, but obviously, as I say that, Mirror Show in the Mercedes opt to come out now, and obviously, I'm sure other drivers will soon follow. Yeah,
so Fnatic Vinci out of pit lane, the only man in this session yet to settle a lap. He's very much capable of beating the likes of Guardian to at least get up to the fourth row at the very least of his woes, but of course, as you mentioned, Mirror Show also exiting the pit lane, and as he comes out, Kostya will be coming in. So Fnatic, quite a decently paced out lap as he paces himself to go for the main lap, the flying lap, of course, in this Q3 session. Whether he'll get time for another one is yet to be seen. It's going to be very tight. I don't know why he'd do that to himself. Clear track, of course, is the preference, but I think someone like Kostya has timed it to perfection, because he's going to have plenty of time to go for that final run in this session, as we see Fnatic Vinci game just get those tyres to their optimal performance, optimal, of course, temperature, and that will therefore give optimal performance. So coming out of the final corner, Fnatic Vinci game gets a nice little exit there to open the DRS flap now, as he starts his first flying lap in this Q3 session. Let's see what the AlphaTauri has got for us. We haven't seen an awful lot of him throughout the entirety of the qualifying session. The number 64 comes into turn 1, coming out of Tamburello now with a very quick left. That's a very quick left, right, left throughout the whole section of Tamburello into turn 4. Here we go now, 5. He hasn't gone too deep there, but he was a bit hesitant, you could tell on the steering front. Here we go, it's a 24.9 in the first sector. That's decent, but it could be better if he wants to get above the likes of Kostya and go one step further than predicted. The Red Bull of, which Red Bull of is that Milo, out of pit lane, the Red Bull of Milo going before his teammate, well before his teammate, and in a way I'm happy that's not Dylan, but Fnatic then, uphill to the end of sector 2. He needs to do better than Kostya in this sector. He's on a 54, which is quite similar to Kostya. This is the kind of pace we're going to see for about a third or fourth row start at this moment in time. It's going to be about Kostya, about P7, P6 area at this moment in time. Into P9, let's just say into the final corner now we go. As there's no row 3.5, but can he stick it between Red and Kostya? He's gone P5, he's gone one step further than that, and he's jumped Wicked Red's teammate of Mirror as well. So he's jumped both Mercedes into P5 with a 1 minute 17 on the dot. And Fnatic Vinci game were proving his pace. Mirror goes right back above that, but he's currently wedged, and he's currently in a Mercedes sandwich is the AlphaTauri. But Milo starts his lap now. Car starting to come out of the pit lane at a frantic pace. Milo coming onto his second hot lap in this session. He was the best of the rest 2 times in a row. Can he make it 3 times in a row, or can he go one step further? It looks pretty much out of reach, and it would seem out of reach, but who knows what's going to happen. We've seen the unpredictable, the predictable, and oh, he's almost gone into a Mercedes there. Has Milo, he tried his best there to mirror to get out of the way, but he was just there as we see Sunski exit the pit lane in this Q3 session. The favourite for pole and second favourite for pole, but he can't really do it because he's got a 5-place grid penalty, of course, and he can't really do anything about it, but he's definitely going to be driving with anger, to say the least. Here's Milo. Into sector 3 we go. He's currently lapping around that best of the rest time we've been talking about. That's better. 6/10 quicker. This may well be a challenging time for the top two. They have had nobody else to think about except from themselves. That may be changing in a couple of moments' time as Milo coming towards the end of his lap. He's got one car around him, and that's the Williams of Guardian Strike. But other than that, no one else to think about for the Red Bull. Can he stick it between Dylan and Sonsi, or can he go above them? Here he goes. Oh, it's getting closer and closer, but he can't quite break into the 1 minute 15s. And unfortunately for him, he stays in P3, and that may well be it. But now, Sunski making his final preparations with, guess who behind him? Dylan, trying to play the games, and he's not going to overtake Sunski. He's trying to prepare for that toe. But Milo, unfortunate not to break into the 115. He went 8/10 quicker to the man. Fair play.
Yeah, so obviously Milo there improved hugely on his time. He's built a big gap to Optimal. So he is going to have to put in a big last year if he wants to improve. He's currently in 4th place. That will be 3rd after penalties. And as it stands, the 30 seconds left to qualify. It is our Sunski who will start us off in the race from pole position. And obviously Milo follows close behind Optimal and Mirrorstone in 3rd and 4th respectively. After penalties, of course. And Vinci, who decided from second. I'm not quite sure why. There was obviously room, a lot of room there, to improve from his lap. But anyhow, I believe with his friends, went quickest in sector 2 now, so he is coming around the final corner. He is going to finish his lap with just seconds to spare. Will he potentially go on for no, he won't.
Sunski.
He won't go 4 fastest.
Well, as we're speaking about that, Sunski made a slight mistake coming uphill towards the sector 2 line. However, oh, he's got a bit shaky there as well. Sunski, is he cracking under the pressure here in Imola under the sun? Sunski went 100th quicker in the middle sector. Can he topple his rival onto pole? Into the final corner comes Sunski. The flying Swede will take to the DRS. He's coming to the pit lane. Is he comfortable with that? So does Dylan. Oh, he's almost crashed into him there. What an anticlimactic finish. Dylan holds pole at the moment. UFR Optimal is coming towards the end of his lap. Can he topple the Red Bull of Milo? Here he comes to the line. No, he can't. He stays where he is. Goes to few cars still setting their laps. But that will mean Sunski is on pole for the Imola Grand Prix. Despite Dylan setting the fastest lap of this session, it will not be enough as of course, because he's got the time, the grid penalty, and he will drop to P5 in this race. Sunski, therefore, will start on pole for the Imola Grand Prix with it's not too bad for Red Bull as Dylan's teammate Milo will be starting on the front row alongside Sunski. But for Dylan's point of view, he's going to be gutted to have that time penalty, the grid penalty, sorry. But this man will be licking his lips at the prospect of starting on pole. However, maybe feeling a bit nervous after he almost choked and fell into the barrier.
Yeah, so obviously not all hope is lost for Red Bull. Obviously they've got Milo in second. I was going to say third, well technically third and second. But Dylan, obviously half a second, or nearly, well, around 4/10 clear of Sunski. But he's still going to stop from pole, which is going to be very, very unfortunate for the Red Bull driver. But it is Ferrari on pole. And we're just going to have to wait and see. It was a Ferrari on pole position.
Then, yeah, I think it was Sunski once again. But let's go through the order. And XPG Dylan sets the fastest time, is on pole, but will not start there as he has a 5-place grid penalty. Paletsanski starts from second. No, sorry, will start from first. He qualified second. Milo moves up to the front row. He was the best of the rest consistently. Wicked Red in fourth. UFR Optimal in fifth. Kostya in sixth. Seventh is Mirror Show, who had that incident with Dylan. That's stopped Dylan from starting on the front row. Fnatic Vinci Game in 8th, Guardian Strike 9th, and rounding off the top 10 is the Aston Martin, the British man. It's an all-British team of TTV rated.
But that is qualifying over, ladies and gentlemen. We still got the race to go. 8 o'clock on the dot for those living in the UK. It should be around 8 o'clock on the dot when the race starts, so this could line up absolutely perfectly. But will we go for the race, ladies and gentlemen?
Yes, well, it's going to be a certainly intriguing prospect to see all the cars go for it at full pace this time out. And as we wait for everybody to load in, we'll have 30 seconds for the drivers to sort out strategy and tyres before the formation lap, and then the main event, the Grand Prix of Imola.
Oh, wait, there is rain.
This is going to be spicy indeed. Well, just as we thought things couldn't get more dramatic, rain is falling over the racetrack of Imola, and this is sure to add that extra drama into this Grand Prix. So 15 seconds for drivers to figure out whether they're going full wets. It looks like intermediate conditions, but it's definitely going to be fascinating seeing the mix of tyres on cars and drivers. Of course, they're unison, of course, with the intermediates and wets. We'll see in a couple of moments time. The pole sitter at Paletsanski there, but he is joined with a Red Bull in the front row, but I'm sure it's a Red Bull he would have wanted, which is Milo. And here we go. The intermediates are the favoured tyre by every single driver on the grid, so whether the track will be drying up later on, we will not know, but it's going to be definitely intriguing.
Drivers at the back of the grid that were in qualifying with Tail and Tom now have both joined, so they will start 18th and 19th respectively.
Well, the expected pit stop strategy is a 1-stop and a 2-stop. So, of course, pit stop strategies do not use the fact that the track may dry. They don't put that into perspective, but it is a possibility. Or even the track getting wetter, which I'm sure is not this man's hope at the moment, because he wants to have the most comfortable race possible. I am hearing from UFR Optimal that the track will dry during the middle of the race, so whether you're going for the inters all the way to that stint or whether you're going to need to box is going to be another question. He's got all the he's had all the questions, but so far he's produced all the answers except from to one man, and that's this man. Oh, we've had a car in front of him. That's the Alfa Romeo who's been disqualified, but nevertheless this man is this is the man that has been answering all the questions at the moment. Whether he'll answer the strategy question is another question for him. There's a lot of questions going around. Whether they will be all answered by the end of this 32-lap race, as we'll see the final few cars lining up. Apparently Mark, the engineer, of course, for all 20 of these drivers, not all 19, sorry, of these drivers, are saying that it will dry up in 5 minutes, which is very, very optimistic. Well, this could be crucial for this man because Milo is disqualified and therefore will be further back in his grid slot than he would have wanted. That means that this man could, if he lines up perfectly, will have an advantage, and he has lined up perfectly indeed. So that's going to be a bit of an advantage, not a bit of an advantage, a massive advantage for the for the Ferrari driver. The Aston Martin driver that we were on board with was this man who's about to line up. The final man to line his car up on the grid will be the Mercedes of, is that Mirror Show? It is Mirror Show. He's going to be very late to the grid. Let's go down to the last place car. Is he already lined up? He is already lined up. So Mirror Show to be the final car to line up on the grid then, as he parks in a very angled position. That's definitely strategic, as we see all the cars lined up then. Let's have a look from the front row of Milo's POV. As it's pedal to the metal, go, go, go. A bit of a delayed start from every car. How slippery it is out there, we don't really know yet. Already, of course, flashing because of the rain is Paletsanski ahead of this Red Bull. UFR Optimal is up to third, and XPG Dylan down the inside, could already be up to third place. He almost forces the Alpine off the track. He gets through though, and up into third place already is SPG Dylan. And whether his teammate will gift him the position to set up the battle between him and Ara Panitsunsky is unknown. However, that's an electric start, and that's the start he needed to allow himself to get close enough to this man so he doesn't go out in the lead ahead of him and make a gap that's not good enough for him to overcome. So Ara Panitsunsky leads, but not in the fashion he would like, because his biggest rival is third, and the only man separating the two is this man's teammate. So a big advantage for Dylan at this moment in time. The Vaxi got an awful start and is down into last, and Mirasho, who was very, very slow on lining up in the grid, had an awfully angled car, is in 17th. He's dropped 10 positions and is third to last.
Yeah, so that start was definitely not the one Sunsky would have liked. So obviously his rival is in third now, but Tomo has went, and he gained 8 places off the start.
Oh well.
Now, but yeah, here we go.
Dylan has let his teammate, Milo has let his teammate through. Dylan takes second place, and now the two men who dominated throughout qualifying are going to be side by side shortly. But Ara Panitsunsky and Dylan. Ara Panitsunsky was slightly slower than Dylan in the qualifying session. He has a 1.5 second advantage. This is going to be intriguing to see how this race plays out.
Yeah, I mean, here we go now. 1.5 second gap, as you just mentioned. Now about Panitsunsky has pulled that gap. Oh, I think there's the yellow flag, so that's a hat into the wall. That's Alfie Doolan, who has gone off the track out of the edge of the Tamburello. So he has gone into last place, and I think it's been horrific from there, but here it comes. Oh, I think there's been another collision. There's more yellow flags as Wildfire drops place after place. Thomas is already up into the point that he's already fighting with the AlphaTauri of Tail for 8th place. Tail does get ahead of the Williams, and obviously TTG Raiders is very close behind. So this is going to be a free race at 8th place, and
wow,
there could also be a battle for
there was yellow flags everywhere on track at some point of this lap. It's only lap 2, remember folks, and this is going to be dramatic. Hence why I'm saving my voice a bit, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of action to commentate on. The number 45 of XPG Dylan coming onto the main straight, and he can already see Sunsky, and that's how much pace he has. He started 6th, and within the first lap he was already up to 2nd, and the only man that's ahead of him is his biggest rival, Ara Panitsunsky, championship leader, and the second man in the championship is 4th. So Ara Panitsunsky will be licking his lips at this scenario, but at the moment Dylan is out there, and Fnatic Vinci came into turn 1, got very close to optimal. He's trying to go, there's another car trying to stick his nose in there, and that's the Alpine's teammate of Twitch Conyo, of course crashing out in qualifying, trying to make his way up to 6th. He's got it, and now it's an all Alpine 5th and 6th, but for how long? Because Fnatic Vinci game was trying to fight back momentarily but couldn't find it. The two cars behind them for a moment were the two AlphaTauris, but Theo has now dropped down the order significantly.
Yeah, so I think Theo was fighting for 7th place with his teammate, but I think he went wide coming out of the exit, and unfortunately he has dropped down into P10. But there is a lot of fighting going on track. Obviously, there's a bit of a train starting to form. No CRS, but a train nonetheless. Conio, Optimal, Vinci, Thomas, and TTV Rating. I think Tail, CEO, or however you pronounce it, I'm not quite sure. He will be joining as well. He's about a second behind the Aston Martin, and I think Wildfire making moves at the back as well. He's up into 13th place, and Baxi as well overtakes Faria, so he is down from 13th into 15th in the span of only a few corners, and Kostya just lining up behind him. So there is a lot of fighting at the back, but Vinci now 2/10 back on Optimal. He's gaining time, gaining skill. He's using all of the ERS he can go. They're going to go wheel to wheel into turn 1 now. Optimal starts on the inside line, but Vinci with a dive down the inside. Now what a brilliant overtake from the AlphaTauri. Have a look at that. We obviously saw that. I mean, that was a brilliant overtake, but I think Optimal is going to come back at the AlphaTauri as well. It's Optimal versus Vinci now, wheel to wheel for 6th place. Optimal does get the position back, but obviously Vinci does have that inside line. He's going to try and stick his nose in there, but to no avail. Optimal does keep 6th place, but it was very promising for Vinci as he came out of turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, and of course, DRS activated for the first time this lap. Well, it was activated last lap, of course, but it's going to be properly into action. We have a first DNF of this race. Kostya is out of the Grand Prix on the 4th lap, and that's going to maybe be a safety car. Kostya leaving and out. And that's, at the moment, it's not a safety car. Fnatic wouldn't want it to be a safety car because he wants to have a run at UFO Optimal. And I made a mistake, actually, by saying DRS activated. Of course, it's raining. Stupid me said DRS activated. It will not be activated because it's raining and that is dangerous. So, therefore, Fnatic will have to use all of his straight line speed in the setup to try and get past UFR Optimal. But he's going to have DRS activated on the... No, sorry, I've said it again. He will not have DRS activated on the main straight. So he's going to have his ERS activated on the main straight. No, nevertheless, he's saving it. So therefore, Fnatic just sitting back a little bit, trying to preserve some energy, and maybe forcing UFR into defensive mode, and that may give him an option to attack later on in this Grand Prix. Meanwhile, the battle for the lead. Yeah, Palichovsky, we often see this with him. He looks to be not the quickest man on track in qualifying, but when it comes race time, he's got the race pace of a Max Verstappen. It's in the race, in qualifying, it was basically like a Leclerc versus Verstappen, but reversed, and in the race, it seems to be reversed. So Palichovsky has pulled a 2.7 second lead on his biggest rival out there, XPG Dylan. 3.7 seconds back from the lead. Sorry, 3.7 seconds back from his teammate is Milo, who's now being rushed by the second place man in the championship, Wicked Red. He needs to get as many points as he can get if he wants to get anywhere near Sunsky, which seemingly seems impossible at this moment in time. But nevertheless, Wicked Red is coming into the final corner now. No DRS, of course, so ERS is the only asset he's going to have down this main straight to try and get past Milo. Another fastest lap from Sunsky. He's just pulling more and more every second we go. Every lap we go, sorry. Wicked Red, 3/10 quicker than his previous lap, a 1 minute 25, and that was... we said that in qualifying was underwhelming, but of course wet weather changes everything. First man into pit lane is Tomos. I wonder why he's into the pit lane, the first driver, and we have another retirement. Oh, he's retired. How peculiar from Tomos into the pit lane, seemingly for a tire, maybe for a tire change, but he is retired from this race. Tomos is out of the session, and I don't know why, I don't know how. He's retired from the race and is out here in the 6th lap of the Imola Grand Prix. Seemingly no reason why he needed to retire, but nevertheless he's out, and he'll be stopping on track in a couple of moments time as he goes to the run down to turn 1. The gap between these two has only just gone and extended. XPG Dylan now 3.6 seconds behind Arapadik Sunsky at this moment in time, and the closest battle on track at the moment, seemingly these two for the battle for the podium.
It's drying up. I think it's dried up. It stopped raining, I believe. It has stopped raining, so it looks like it has dried up a little bit sooner than we expected. Yeah, look at this, the intermediate are really now showing their true pace. But obviously, soon, it's going to be time to switch tires, but we just don't know when. We're going to have to play the waiting game. We're going to have to play the long game now, as obviously Sochi is making big use of those intermediate tires. Soon, as I just said, it will be time for the switch. And obviously there's going to be lots of varying strategies between all the different teams, all the different drivers. So, we'll just have to wait and see what's going to happen. Who is going to take the gamble first, and who is going to play it safe?
Well, we're going to have to see. Who is the first fish to drop into the pit lane. It is going to be like fish dropping into the sea when all the cars flood into the pit lane. And seemingly a couple of moments time, I think we've seen the first car. Kaz into pit lane onto the slick tyres. This is the benchmarker. We're going to see Kaz into the pit, and that does look dry. Let's see if Sunsky died in the pit lane. That's massive. Dylan's got a 3-second time penalty. Maybe frustration starting to kick in for the Red Bull, who had it all in control. How different this race could have been if he started on pole. Well, he didn't, and this is the current scenario we have. Sunsky leads by 4.6 seconds and stays out. Does Dylan come into the pit lane now? Yes, he does. Dylan's into the pit lane. His teammate, I expect, will not follow suit to avoid a double stack. However, the man behind him has Wicked Red into the pit lane. We'll wait for Konyo, but let's go on board with Wicked Red for his stop. This is the current stop. That was very quick and swift from the Red Bull team.
Alpine,
Yeah, Alpine are double stacking as you mentioned. Let's have a look how this works out for the Alpine crew. UFR, Optimal and Twitch Conyo into the pit lane. And this is it. Oh no, why would you do that, guys? I think it would have just been smarter to stay out, really. As does Alfie Doolan come into the pit lane? Alfie Doolan is into the pit lane. And Doolan will be coming into his box. But that's cost UFR Optimal about 3-4 positions. His teammate, they were 6th and 7th, I believe, or 5th and 6th, one of the two, but now they're split by 2 cars, so that's a shame for the Alpine team. Maybe it would have been smarter to stay out, but this is good. How much will he lose on this lap for Sunski? It's got to be time to come in, because he may start losing on Dylan at this moment in time. Who's going to come out in the lead? This may be a way back into the race for Dylan. Sunski has to come in, you think, on this lap. Is he coming in? Into the pit lane comes the Ferrari of our Paddock Sunski. Now let's hope this is a swift stop. Will he get out ahead of Dylan? Dylan now coming towards the end of sector 2. I believe he may just have enough. Here comes Milo into the pit lane. And surely Theo and Mira will follow suit. But our Paddock Sunski is out of the pit lane. Well, he's out of his pit box. I think he may just get out ahead of Dylan. He's not had the quickest of laps, has the Red Bull, and this may have just worked out perfectly for the Ferrari. Into the pit lane comes Mira, so every car now is on the slick tyres. Our Paddock Sunski is going to get out ahead of Dylan. Here we go then. You can't even see Dylan in your picture. I think he's got out with an even bigger gap than previous. Dylan, is he going to get out in front of his teammate? It's going to be a race. He's got out in front of his teammate, but he's dropped even further behind our Paddock Sunski. 6.4 seconds. The new gap between the leading pair of Dylan and Sunski, and he's got closer to his teammate, I think, by a slight margin than before. I think his teammate actually just needed time to warm those tyres up. But Wicked Red in 4th, and Mirashow's dropped all the way to 7th now as well, as he's even still plummeting down the positions. But that was a rush.
Yeah, it was absolute chaos in the pit lane in a matter of a few laps. Everyone has gone from inters to slicks just like that. And our Arctic Sunski, quite the opposite of Ferrari in real life, have planned this perfectly. There you go, DRS is now enabled, as it is basically officially a dry circuit now. And I mean, Sunski's done that absolutely perfectly. He came in, he performed the overcut, and he's ended up coming out with a bigger gap than one he had before.
Yes, he may well, he does have a bigger lead, but that's already been cut by 2 seconds for the Red Bull. Sunski seemingly had his tyres already warmed up after he came out. Dylan with the new fastest lap of the race. It was this what was keeping Sunski in the lead, the conditions out on track. Was it just the fact that the wet weather conditions suited the Ferrari more than the Red Bull? Nevertheless, we're going to see how intriguing this gets in the upcoming 2 or 3 laps to see whether Dylan really does have the pace to win this race. It seemingly is going to be a one stop on the slick tyres. A few have gone for the hards. I very much doubt that the mediums will go to the end of this race. So some have gone for hards to the end, Optimal and Fnatic. That may save Optimal's dreadful double stack, but the likes of Sunski, Dylan, Milo, all of those guys will have to box again, and maybe they are waiting for the perfect opportunity of something like a safety car, because of course they will have an extra set of tyres due to the fact they didn't start on any. So if there is another safety car, well, exactly now you'd expect them to go on to hards, and later on in the race I think they would be permitted to just go on to another set of mediums due to the fact that it's been a mixed race. I'm not 100% sure on the rule there, but I think they would be able to just go on to another set of mediums.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, this is looking to be for up very, very interesting. Obviously, the majority of the pack have gone on to the mediums, and I think, yeah, as you mentioned, it was different. And Optimus who have gone on to hard today, but pack is very close to the end, I would assume. Everyone else taking a bit of gamble with the mediums. I'm definitely certain that they won't math. But here we go then. Here comes DRS for Theo as he looks to maybe make a move into Cambarello for P6. He's going to go towards the outside, and obviously be very, very easy DRS everything for the opportunity to reach for the top in P6 place.
Yes, well, Wicked Red is starting to pull onto the back of that Red Bull. He's going to have DRS very shortly on the Red Bull. He's currently 1.1 seconds back. Rated is stuck in a bit of a DRS train between about 4 cars. We have yellows, and that is because TTV Vaxi has come off the racetrack. He's now managed to get himself back on, but that's not ideal for the Alfa Romeo team, who already have a DNF to their name. They may well have nearly had another one.
Yeah, I think that was very close for Vaxi, but fortunately he's managed to keep it on the track, not exactly on the rubber, but maybe a bit of a trip to the gravel. But fortunately he's been able to recover that home.
Yes, well, Dylan, 3.3 seconds now is the gap between Dylan and the leader, Sansky. He's led every single lap of this race. Of course, he was part of the second bunch of guys to come into the pit lane. So Sansky is led every lap of this race. Of course, it was on pole, and if he gets the fastest lap, could be on for a Grand Slam. However, I don't think that's the first thing on his mind at the moment. He can't be that relaxed with this man coming at him, who's already gained 3 laps in 3 seconds in 3 laps. So that's intriguing to see how that plays out. Let's see if he can gain another second in another lap. Wicked is fighting to be within a second for the DRS. Let's see how he gets on throughout this sector 3. He's he's pushing. He's got ERS activated. He's doing everything in his power to get within Milo's DRS for the next lap. He's currently 9 tenths. He's just gone down a bit now to 9.1. So 9.1 tenths. It looks like he's just going to have enough to be within the DRS. Oh, he's fallen out again. Oh, it's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. I think he may have just got it within a second in the nick of time. Let's have a look at his rear wing. On board with the rear wing of Wicked Red. He has got DRS. That's really crucial. He just got within that second, but now he's trying to get within a second with the DRS, and he's done that relatively easily, but just that may be crucial in the battle for the podium.
I mean, yeah, Wicked Red just clinching the DRS. There you go. Now he's closing up quickly. It's about 6 seconds between and Wicked Red. So this is looking closer and closer. Speaking of overtakes, here comes Mirror Show on Vinci into Tamburello. Very easy DRS overtake on the main straight, and he is going to get himself into second place.
Well, as you were talking about, Fnatic and Mirror, Rated is still hassling the AlphaTauri. Another man that is hassling another man is the Red Bull of Dylan. He's really starting to get to Sunsky. You may be, if you're Sunsky, you may be starting to see Dylan in your mirror. 2.5 seconds is the gap between Dylan and Sunsky. Now that is getting closer and closer in this race. Sunsky and Dylan, of course. 1 second is the time you need to be within a DRS. Dylan, of course, with the 3-second time penalty, that could be crucial come the end of the race. Sunsky kind of maybe thinking of keeping his head rather than keeping the position on track. 2.5 seconds now the gap. He's gained 4 seconds in 4 laps. Can he make it 5 in 5, which would put him in DRS range? And maybe in 2 laps time we might see the overtake and the switch of the lead.
Yeah, so obviously Dylan is working very hard to close that gap. And now Sunsky, that's 2.5 seconds now. Suddenly going down to 2.1 seconds, the gap that is Dylan and Sunsky. So obviously, as you mentioned, that 5-second time penalty still puts Dylan over to yellow flag in sector 1. That is TTV rated. He has gone back out of Tamburello. But anyways, as I was saying, Dylan has obviously tried to close that gap. He is made rival, and he's done so brilliantly. 2.2 seconds the gap is Ferrari and the Red Bull. Obviously, DRS is enabled. He's going to have to use that to his absolute advantage. But first, he's going to have to get within some DRS range. And that is going to be very hard, especially considering Dylan only has 5 to 6 years left, and something has been trading him throughout the race so far. We're about halfway through, and it's looking to be going in the way of something, but here comes Dylan, and he is still
Well, I hate to interrupt you, but we were talking about how crucial it was for Wicked to have the DRS. He's now hassling the Red Bull into turn 1, the Mercedes of Wicked Red. He just about got within DRS range, and that is now proven critical for him, as he is now less than 1/10 to overtaking the Red Bull of Milo, and he's 6/10 down, but I don't really think he cares about that because he's got a whole lot closer to the Red Bull. And as we're going uphill, we see the clouds beam onto the track, and they're dark, and something else that is dark is the AlphaTauri's chances of finishing the upper half of the field. He's off the track, and he now may be falling behind another man who's gone off the track, which is Rated. But Theo cracking under some form of pressure, and he manages to stay ahead of Rated for the time being. But something else is XPG Dylan. We said 2 laps was the striking distance. He's 1.3 seconds behind Imola. Boy, is this going to be intriguing to see.
Yeah, Dylan has closed the gap. He's got up to 1.5 in DRS range, and the straight line speed. I think as Dylan set up, he's just superior without a sun speed, and obviously sun speed is green on the corners. He's back to now.
We have a single wave yellow, and Vaxi, yeah, as you mentioned, retiring in the pit, I think. As Wicked Red, I thought that was going to be the moment we saw the switch of the final podium position between the Mercedes and Red Bull, but seemingly not the case. The Red Bull of Milo just staying in front by the finest of margins. Wicked Red, though, still hassling the Red Bull, and this is his strong point, Sector 1 in Imola, and that may be also his most negative point because he can't get close enough with the DRS to make the overtake. Now look at this. Dylan is within a second. I said 2 laps, and it may well be that exactly, but that's even worse for him because Dylan has got another 3-second time penalty. He's on 6 seconds worth of penalties, but as we mentioned last night with the likes of Splandy, he's going to want to do it on track, but he's just fallen out of DRS range at the pivotal moment, and therefore will not have DRS on lap 17, but it will be lap 18 that you would expect him to finally have DRS over Sunsky.
Yet here comes the battle. Instead of Sunsky having to bring the battle to Dylan, Dylan has suddenly addressed Sunsky. He is going to break the feet off that car. Oh, and he spit it! Dylan spotted it out of Tamburello.
Well, that is drama for you. XPG Dylan spinning, and he's gone back off. XPG Dylan is all falling to bits for the Red Bull driver. His teammate is fast approaching. This is probably the end of his race. Aeropanic Sunsky will be delighted, absolutely any word to describe happiness with what's just happened, as Dylan has now let his teammate through, and by doing that, Wicked Red trying to squeeze his way through, coming into where that was very similar to where Juan Pablo Montoya and Michael Schumacher had a famous collision all the way back in 2004. Well, it's 2022, and this man has had an incident. He's trying to get back round Wicked Red on a recovery drive round the outside of the Mercedes, and he can't quite find it. Uphill now, and Wicked Red just doing enough, the bare minimum, and he's put him in a wall. XPG Dylan manages to save the car with pure talent and pure car control there, as he stays in 4th place. But Wicked Red then, is he guilty, as his teammate was in qualifying for either brake testing or forcing another car off. But how the tables can turn within the space of a lap. Sunsky now leads by a whole pit stop.
Absolutely. I mean, its first turn, it's just a classic case of a commentator's curse there. Explaining how Dylan has brought the fight to Sunsky. Ran it out of Tamburello, ran it again, and now Wicked Red has collided with Dylan, coming into Sector 3 as he takes the podium position. But now he's going to have to fight not for P3 this time, but for P2, as Sunsky is ahead by 18 seconds now. He can finally breathe that sigh of relief he has been waiting for all race. And obviously they're still fighting a man now, but in the wall. Now is that going to be a safety car? In the wall out of Tamburello, and I think that is going to be a safety car.
It is indeed. So we have a first safety car of this race. Dylan will be also breathing a sigh of relief because he is now not under as much pressure as he was before. a 6-second time penalty. He's down into 4th, and as we saw yesterday, never take anything for granted. Is that a virtual? No, it is indeed a full safety car. Sunsky, the first of those to come into the pit lane. He doesn't even need Milo to pit, and he'll still lead because of the amount of the gap he's got. It is a no-brainer to come into the pit lane. He's onto the hard. That'll go to the end of the race, and surely now he can kind of feel that he's won this race. And oh, that's cheeky. XPG Dylan overtakes Wicked Red going into the pit lane, and although Wicked Red may report that there is nothing wrong with that, it is completely legal. The pit lane is not part of the racetrack, and I don't think it's going to affect Wicked Red anyway because of the slight double stack the two Red Bulls had, and Dylan has got out anyway. And it's intriguing to see Dylan's gone for the mediums, and so is Wicked Red. That's interesting to see. But what Dylan did, there's nothing wrong with it. You're allowed to overtake in the pit lane regardless of what conditions the racetrack is in, of course, unless it's a red flag. But the leading two have gone hard. The two behind that have gone for mediums. The one behind that has gone for soft. So this is going to be absolutely fascinating. As we take a short break. Well, welcome back, folks. We're under safety car conditions with 12 laps to go. This race has flown by when we've had enthralling action throughout. This man who probably fancied his chances of winning all the way up to about 5 laps ago has seen it all fall apart, receiving a second 3-second time penalty, which means that he is on a 6-second time penalty put together. We'll have a look at the tyres in a few moments. This is the time penalty situation, and he's got the third most penalties out on the entire track. So for him, it looks like that may potentially cost him even a podium in this race. But Dylan, we never know what's going to happen. He's a very quick driver, and I'm sure he can recover every single car on track. Has done a 2-stop. And those are your position gains. Theo has made up 10 positions in this race, Dylan 2, but he still probably feels disappointed with that. Conyo has made up 9 positions. Fantic Vinci Game has made up 2. Optimal has gone down 3, and the likes of Rated and Guardian all fighting for the minor position. So now let's have a look at the tyres again. This is going to be intriguing to see. The majority of the field have gone mediums. 3 cars, including Arapat and Sonsky, have gone hards, and you can understand the decision to go for hard for Sonsky, as you get the feeling that he's just trying to go conservative, and he's just trying to play it out nicely so he can just win this race and win this race in nice fashion. He just needs to make sure he covers any other threats off, and that may prove to be pivotal in this race. Conyo caused penalty, but he's on softs. Only driver to dare, you could say, to put on the soft tyres, as we have 12 laps remaining in this race.
Yeah, so obviously I think the chaos in the pit lane, and the order is now all messed up. Obviously, Milo is now in second, and he is going to have to start to attack the lead in the pit. So I don't think it will be good lap level. It will be on the next lap, maybe lap 21, and we will have 10 more laps of racing. Then the green flag finally comes out. We can go back racing as well. It's going to be on safety cars, so this is going to be interesting. Obviously, everyone trying to get their tyres on, but Conyo just decided to don't stop and get in that lap.
Well, safety car projected to be in this lap. The few cars yet to come. Alfie Doolan is back in the pit lane. That's interesting. So maybe wrong tyres or something like that. interesting to see. He's gone onto soft, so he's followed suit, but of course his soft tyres are going to have to do 11, unlike Conyo's needing to do 13. So that's going to be an interesting strategy call for both of the drivers that have dared to go onto the soft tyres. Conyo, the only one out of them that has a time penalty, so he needs to pull away if he's to have any chance of scoring even points at this point. Dylan, as it stands, would drop all the way down to 9th in this race if his penalties were to be applied at this moment in time. Of course, that's not going to happen, but it's just a possibility. He would even drop lower than that. I think he'd drop all the way to 12th. Sorry, not 12th, 10th. So that would be a real shame for him if that... Well, it's going to happen at some point. He is going to surely drop positions, you would think, in this race due to penalties. We have about 11 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and safety car is indeed coming in this lap. So Sunsky slows the pack down, poised, ready to go. He's got a Red Bull behind him, but probably one that he'd be more comfortable with, which is Milo, who is, no offense, a much easier driver to challenge than this man. But of course, Milo, he's been the 3rd quickest driver throughout, and he's been so consistent and so calm under pressure. The Red Bull driver, the owner of the league, he knows all the tricks in the book. And I would not challenge him if I were you, because he is rapid at times. Sunsky prepares to go away, and I think he's gone. Sunsky, the Ferrari, he went, but he got a bit out of shape, but this man was still sleeping. So Sunsky takes a half a second lead from the safety car restart. Here we go, green flag, folks. Wicked Red has been on the back of Milo the whole race. He's still there, but not quite close enough to go for it into turn 1. XPG Dylan, we know he likes a bit of a dive bomb. He's nowhere near close enough, though. Here goes Wicked Red, trying to find the outside. Can he go for the inside on the Mercedes? Oh, well, what's happened to Dylan? Dylan is off the track. He's found his way back on, but the Red Bull has gone from bad to worse. He's down into 9th now after seemingly a 360, but the Red Bull driver, and now that the switch of positions has happened between the Red Bull, Conyo's involved there. He needs to be quick on those softs. They should be up to optimal temperature and performance, but just as we thought things couldn't get worse for Dylan, they have, and he's in 9th now, and with penalties applied, he's probably going to fall all the way down into 11th. So that's a real shame for the Red Bull driver. Another Red Bull driver is at the top of what he could possibly do. Sunsky is pulling away, but this man, the battle for second is between, and it's no longer between him, because off the track goes Milo. It was a battle between hards, mediums and softs, but Red Bull's evening has just gone from bad to worse to even worse than that. Milo is into last in this race. Conyo, meanwhile, has got past Wicked Red on the soft, but Milo, we rarely see that from him. Spinning in the chicane, and down into last we go. We have yellows in sector 3, and I think that's for the McLaren. No, it's for Dylan again. Oh, God. What is happening to the Red Bulls here tonight in Imola?
This is absolute heartbreak for the 2 Red Bulls. It seemed to go so well. There's more yellow flags, and that's wildfire into the wall. What is happening on this safety car restart? It has gone horrifically wrong. More yellow flags, as that's Vinci off. And let's get back to Red Bull. It was looking so well for Milo, but then he spins it, and he's dropped into last. Dylan spun it once again. It's gone horribly wrong now for Red Bull, as they go from what could have potentially been a race win to falling out of the points, both drivers.
Well, Twitch Conyo, of course, with a 3-second time penalty, nevertheless hassling and giving the Ferrari of Sunsky something to think about. We have 9 laps to go in this Grand Prix, and Twitch Conyo, who he had to get quick from the restart to get away from those other drivers, because at the end, ultimately, he is going to fall off on those soft tyres. Can this man find a way past the Alpine here in Imola. 8 laps to go here in this race, and the man on mediums is currently trying to catch up to the man on softs with 8 laps to go. Whether those softs will last that long on the optimal condition is yet to be seen. Dylan is trying to find his way past the Italian of Fanatic Vinci, but we've had an incident, and that's Optimal off the track, finding his way back on from the gravel, but UFR Optimal has had an incident and finding his way back on now. Dulan is on the softs as well. He's trying to make his way even further up the track as he approaches the back of the Williams. Oh, he got a bit shaky there, but he's managed to keep it on. Dylan has got past Fanatic, and that was ultimately going to happen every day of the week. I don't think Max Day is even in the game. I think after he left in qualifying, he hasn't joined back since. Fanatic, after being overtaken from Dylan, has more cries to add to his woes as he gets a 3-second time, by the way, for a multiple warning on the corner cut in front. Twitch Konyo still making the gain on Sunski. Sunski not pulling away. However, remember, this man will ultimately fall off on the softs, and he's already lost the 10th. And Dylan making his way even further up the track and Faria, his teammate finding it a bit harder.
Yeah, so Sunski is just Red Bull making a comeback, get yourself up into my place. He's obviously going to have some work to do, but he's pretty much got a free position, and one person who also has a free position is Alfie Doolan. He seems to be in horrible shape at the start of this Grand Prix, but now he's up into P6 on those soft tires, so they actually get a little bit tricky come the end of the race. But obviously Dylan pretty much having a free position, he's going to flag in second too. Oh, and that's Sunski! Sunski's got off! Twitch Corneo takes the lead, but after penalty, it's going to be Wicked Red. What has happened to Sunski?
Wow, Sunski off the track. Sunski, he made his way back on. What on earth is going on? We saw it with Jeslar and Splandy, but I certainly didn't expect it from a tier 1 driver, a more mature driver. But Sunski is off. He's back on now, but he's in 4th position, such as Charles Leclerc in Imola, if you remember back to almost a year ago in the real Formula 1 circuit. But our Paddock Sunski is down into 4th, just under a second behind Theo, who's magically found his way up into the podium positions. Wicked Red now battling for the lead. Here's Wicked Red round the outside of the Alpine. Those softs starting to degrade this early on. The Mercedes takes the lead of the Grand Prix on lap 26. Dylan sets the fastest lap. Who knows, he may still come through to win this. But Wicked Red leads the race. The man who was second in the championship and had no chance of outscoring his nearest championship rival, seemingly now has the upper hand on the championship and may well take the lead of the championship. How ridiculous is this? Wicked Red in the lead of the race with 6 to go, sorry.
Yeah, I am not quite sure what has happened after the safety car restart. Things have just gone from bad to worse for both Red Bull and now for Ferrari as Arctic Sunski drops into 4th place. Wicked Red already did have the lead of the race, but on track now, he has made that overtake. And this has been absolutely epic to watch. These last few laps have been absolutely filled with action. Not so much for the drivers, they're going to be swearing themselves under their breath. Sunski went from triumph to terror in the matter of a few seconds as he went off the track. And now he's going to have to fight his way with seemingly null and void chances of him winning this race now as Wicked Red seems to pull away a little bit.
Well, I hate to interrupt you, but our Paddock Sunski is making his way back up the order. Into 3rd place goes the Ferrari, the flying Ferrari, trying to find his way back up the order. And he's 3 seconds up the road as Cornio. 4 seconds up the road is Wicked Red. So, with 5 laps to go, can this man catch the leading pack, the leading pair, and still win this race? Of course, Cornio, this is where his tyres are going to start to, really, ultimately plummet into degradation. This is where they're really going to start degrading at a rapid pace. So this is where Sunski may find a chance. Konyo falls out of a second between him and Wicked Red. He's trying to battle to stay within a second, but our Paddock Sunski is trying to get within a second of Konyo and then get within a second of Red, and then hopefully for him win the race. He's pushing everything he's got. He's gone 3 tenths quicker of his personal best. He's on the limit. He's on the edge. He's doing everything he can, and will it be enough? Well, we'll only see that in about 5 minutes time.
Yeah, this has been absolutely horrible, but Wicked Red does get a 3-second time penalty. That shouldn't change anything. Wait. I'm trying to figure this out in my head. I believe Sunsky does not have the leeway just yet. Oh, he's still gonna have some work to do. He's got about 9/10 to make up if he wants to win this race. So it could actually get close.
Well, he's now within 3 seconds, of the leading pair. Twitch Conyo is an 8/10 back from Wicked. Seemingly he had the DRS. Yellow's in sector 2. That's Willie McLaren off the track. And that's Optimal is also retired. Is he in a wall? We have a safety car. Or is it a virtual? I can't see on my screen. I only got you the yellow flag. It's a virtual safety car. Oh my goodness. Is this going to be... What? This is going to be so climactic. Such as yesterday's Tier 2 race. Is this man going to come into the pit lane? Is this man going to go onto the soft? Is this man going to go onto the soft? There's so many different scenarios. The Red Bulls are now separated by nothing now, as we saw Dylan making his way up the order. Milo has now followed suit. But let's see which driver, is anyone going to pop into the pit lane and put a fresh set of rubber on? Wicked has a penalty. This is more important now, the penalty situation. Wicked Red has 3 seconds. Slunsky, as it stands, would win this race. So that's a recovery and a half. Wicked Red at the time of taking the lead, did not have a penalty. He stays out. Konyo stays out. Sunsky therefore stays out. Rated, is he going to dip in? Rated stays out. Theo stays out. I expect Guardian will be staying out due to his penalty situation. And we're going green though, so no one will have time to go to the pit lane. Faria, drive through. He's going to have to serve that in the next 3 laps. Twitch Conyo, then 5/10 separates him and Wicked. Wicked got a good getaway, going over that 3-second mark of Sunsky. It's going to be a battle of time to see whether he can stay ahead of the 3-second gap he needs to overturn that. Otherwise, Sunsky will win this race and maintain his championship lead. If he doesn't win the race, he will still finish second due to Conyo's penalties. But Wicked Red, will go on to level pegging. However, Dylan has the quickest, has the fastest lap, so that will not be a factor. So therefore, it would be a battle. It will go level pegging if Wicked Red wins this race and Arapatic Sunsky finishes second. It would be level peggings going into the 3rd round. Of course, not the 4th because Miami got cancelled. Dylan plummeting down again. He's in the grass and he's stationary on track. He's disqualified for parking in a dangerous position. That's the end of his evening. XPG Dylan. It ends in a nightmare for the Red Bull. He's out of this race, and he had awful mid-stage of the race. He was favourite to win coming into it despite having a 5-place grid penalty. He was dominant in qualifying, but as it happened in Austria, a dominant qualifying has turned into an appalling race and a very disappointing race, and 19th because of the disqualification. What a shame for the Red Bull driver. Arapatic Sunsky has no longer really got to worry about any other championship rival because it looks like he's out of it now. 2 races, 2 DNFs. We've seen that in real life with Max Verstappen. This is so similar to the normal F1 battles, but this is the in-game battle right now. Sunsky seemingly has enough to win this race as long as he keeps within the track limit guidelines and stays within all the lines possible. I'm going to have a look now at the race director to see how many warnings Arapatic Sunsky has. Can I check it? I can. Arapatic Sunsky has got, as we just scroll through, Arapatic Sunsky, I do not think has a warning yet in this race. We'll keep having a look as we scroll further down the order. We've got a few mirrors show. Arapatic Sunsky, that's a warning there. So he's got 1 warning that we've counted. He's got 2 warnings. So Arapatic Sunsky is running on a fine line here. 1 more warning and he will receive a 3-second time penalty. 2 laps to go. Oh, this is going to be exciting. Oh, whoa. Sunsky onto the gravel. He's got past Konyo for a split moment. Konyo concedes a position, but another man to get disqualified for ignoring a drive-through penalty. But nevertheless, Twitch Konyo, that was very too close for comfort, and that's cost him at least a second, or maybe, yeah, it was a second that's cost him, and then it's still a battle for time. But remember, he's running that fine line of 1 warning, and that's a penalty.
Yeah, so I think Conio, that has to be surely Conio's fault because he stopped in the middle of the track for no reason. But now it is 6 tenths that separate Wicked Red and Sunsky. This is the battle essentially for the lead by proxy. But Sunsky getting closer and closer. Surely the race is going to be his. And so we only have, as Wicked Red crosses the final corner, he's going to start the final lap of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been such an action-packed race, and it could finish with a climactic ending as well. Surely Sunsky just has to keep this gap. He cannot make a mistake now. The last lap of this race, he comes into Tamburello, and this is looking to be very, very climactic. He's got 2 seconds. The gap is now on track, and Sunsky will be 1 second ahead after the penalties. We have 2 more sectors to go in, but there is yellow flag, sector 1 and sector 2, and that's Conio.
Whoa! So that eliminates Conio's chances of finishing on the podium then, because Theo was caught up to him, and of course with 6 second time, but Conio has thrown away his chances of a podium. But seemingly now there's not a lot more this man can do. He's got the penalty. He can pray that this man exceeds track's limits in the final sector of the final lap of the race. Oh, he's done it! Oh, I don't believe my eyes! Arapatic Sunsky has got a 3 second time penalty. All he needed to do was avoid what could have happened in the final lap of the race. Sunsky has cracked under the pressure, but out of nowhere, Wicked Red on the final few corners has won this race. No DRS, Wicked Red wins in Imola, and Sunsky, it's all fallen to pieces. He's lost the race win after just a awful driver error. Arapatic Sunsky loses the win in the final few corners. Oh boy, how I feel for him, because he almost led every single lap of the race. Couldn't get the fastest lap. I think that's managed to go to, I'm not sure who fastest lap went to, but boy, oh my goodness. Arapatic Sunsky will not get the fastest lap because Conio's gone quicker, and my days, Arapatic Sunsky. Well, stay put, folks, because with the post-race press conferences, we're gonna find out all what happened. But oh my days, is that drama?
That was absolutely crazy. He only held to keep it together for a few corners, and it was absolutely impressive how that ended up for Sunsky. That's going to be very, very unfortunate.
Wow.
But of course, ladies and gentlemen, you will have to stay put. We do have interviews on the way very, very shortly.
So the post-race press conferences will be getting underway in a moment. Dash, if you can wait, I'll get them to add you, please, if possible. But that was a race and a half, folks, for the second night in a row here in Imola. And after all of it, somehow, out of nowhere, somehow, Wicked Red won. And after, I think, about 5 corners to go, it was all threw away by Arapatic Sunsky, championship leader up until this point. They're level on everything. I don't know what it will go down to, because countback is equal as well now in round 2. And in round 2 he lifts the trophy high, and he's definitely going to be on a high after winning on the final lap of the race. We will get the post-race conferences we'll get them going in a couple of moments time, as we just receive the final few friend requests. But what a dramatic race. Stay with us, folks, as I set up the party for the post-race press conferences. So, folks, what a race that was. And for the 10 of you watching, we will have the post-race conferences coming in a couple of moments' time. We're just waiting for Theo to set us up for it. Otherwise, it will just be Sunsky and Wicked to interview. Well, we're just getting confirmation whether he will do the interview. Okay, so it will be just the two. So we'll now wait to see it. So as the drivers flood in, we'll just wait for Arapatic Sunski, and then we can commence with the post-race press conferences. So here's the final driver then to join the press conference. So I'll get us going. Arapatic, what happened, mate? In one of the final corners of the track, you seemingly had it all in your hands, and then just like that, Wicked Red won due to your own mistake. What happened? Okay, commiserations. I think Dash has a question for Wicked. Well, Wicked, a question for you. Of course, it looked impossible up to the final 5 laps, where probably reality started to sink in. Of course, Sunsky and Dylan dominated the entire course of the weekend, but now you've given us level peggings out of nowhere. How do you look to go forward after winning tonight? And I think Dash has one more question for you. And finally, I've just got one question for both of you. Currently in the Constructors' Championship, it's still very early days, of course, but Ferrari currently lead the Constructors' standings after Austria, and Mercedes are in second. How do you feel about your teammates? And you, Sunsky? Okay, thank you, boys, and well done on your performances tonight. And thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back tomorrow for the main event, the Tier 1, and let's see how it happens. See you later, guys.